The day Nathan opened the doors of his company to his cousin, he thought he was doing something noble, maybe even redemptive. The kind of act that makes you sleep better at night. The kind of act that makes your late father proud. If only he were still around to witness it. Marcus had always been the black sheep of the family, impulsive, charming, and utterly reckless. The kind of man who could make you laugh while your house was burning down, and then ask for a lighter. But when he showed up at Nathan's doorstep that morning, he was a shadow of the boy Nathan once knew. Hollow eyes, sunken cheeks, no arrogance left in his voice, just the raw tremble of a man who had run out of rope. Lost the apartment, car got repoed, credits shot, I even pawned Mom's wedding ring, Marcus said, staring into his coffee cup like it might hold some kind of answer. Nathan looked at him, long and hard. Why come to me? Marcus didn't flinch, because everyone else already closed the door. Nathan paused. In his chest, something tightened. Not pity, but recognition. He remembered being 12, watching Marcus take a beating for a prank they'd both pulled. Remembered how Marcus had never snitched, never blinked. That kind of loyalty had a long half-life. You don't have to beg, Nathan said finally, sliding his coffee over. Your blood. That's enough. Marcus's voice cracked. I won't screw this up, man. I swear, on everything. Against the cautious voice of his wife, against the warning texts from his business partner, Nathan gave Marcus a job. Not just any job, but a title. Operations manager. Oversight over inventory, transport schedules, even vendor contracts. A level of trust he hadn't extended to anyone in years. The team was skeptical at first. Marcus's name carried weight, and not the good kind. But Nathan backed him publicly. Everyone deserves a second act, he'd told them during the Monday meeting. Let's be the kind of company that believes in people. And at first, it looked like a smart move. Marcus was magnetic. Clients liked him, staff warmed up to his jokes. He picked up systems fast, offered ideas in meetings that actually worked. Nathan watched as his cousin slid into place like a missing puzzle piece. He's turning it around, Nathan told his wife one night as they folded laundry. Maybe all he needed was someone to believe in him. She didn't argue, but she didn't smile either. Just be careful, she said, folding a towel a little too tightly. You trust too fast, always have. Nathan waved her off. This is family. That's different. But was it? The first red flag was small. A vendor called twice asking about a payment Nathan thought had cleared. Marcus blamed it on a new accounting system glitch Nathan didn't press. The second flag was personal. A friend spotted Marcus at a bar, not just drinking, but flashing cash he shouldn't have had. Nathan laughed it off. Probably just got lucky at cards, he said, but something twisted in his stomach. Still, Nathan pushed down his doubts. He remembered their childhood summers, bike rides through alleyways, secret handshakes, covering for each other. Marcus was the only one who stayed with him the night his dad died, sneaking in junk food and dumb jokes to make the silence bearable. This wasn't just business. It was memory. It was blood. It was loyalty. So when Marcus asked to streamline some roles, Nathan approved. When Marcus said they should move money around to make things smoother, Nathan signed. When Marcus asked for the company credit card just for emergencies, Nathan handed it over without blinking. And every step of the way, Nathan believed he was saving his cousin's life. What he didn't realize is that Marcus wasn't looking to be saved. He was building a ladder out of Nathan's blind trust to climb back into a life he never intended to share.
Chapter 2. Small Cracks. 3 months in, the office had stopped whispering about Marcus. His flashy confidence, once a red flag to many, had somehow morphed into charisma. He's actually good, one of the junior analysts had said during a Friday lunch. Sharp, kinda intense, but he gets things done. Nathan took pride in that. It felt like proof that second chances weren't just for fairy tales. But something had shifted. It started with the missing invoices. Nothing dramatic, just 2 files that should have been logged under our December freight orders. Nathan only noticed because he liked to do random audits, the kind that made his accountant sweat and his partner roll his eyes. He brought it up to Marcus casually. "Ah, yeah, those were delayed. The vendor forgot to submit the digital copies, so I'm waiting to scan the physical ones. I got it covered," Marcus said, not missing a beat. Nathan nodded. It was plausible. Marcus spoke with such certainty that doubt felt impolite. Then came the vendor complaints. One longtime client, a small family-run distributor in Ohio, called twice in a week. They'd received conflicting payment confirmations. When Nathan looked into it, the records had already been updated. Everything looked clean, but the paper trail felt rehearsed. He called Marcus in. "Any reason these payments bounced before clearing?" Marcus laughed, a little loudly. "You're not trusting those guys, are you? They're stuck in the Stone Age, fax machines and handwritten ledgers. It's a miracle they still exist. I sorted it, no big deal." Nathan let it go, but the unease stayed. The third flag came with sound. Late one night, Nathan stayed at the office to prepare for an investor pitch. Around 9:40 p.m., he heard voices from the conference room. He assumed the cleaning crew had arrived early until he walked by and saw Marcus, alone, on a video call. The screen faced away, but Marcus's tone was different. Not professional, not humble, sharp, cold. "I said move it by Friday. I don't care how you do it, just make it clean. He doesn't check the small accounts, just the bulk transfers." Nathan didn't mean to eavesdrop, but he froze. Marcus ended the call, leaned back in the chair, and lit a cigarette. Indoors. In the office Nathan built from scratch, as if the rules never applied to him. Nathan didn't confront him. He left quietly, drove home in silence. His wife was already asleep, the bedside lamp still on. He lay there staring at the ceiling, unsure of what he'd just heard or what to do with it. The next morning, Marcus was at his desk, smiling, joking with staff, dropping off a coffee for Nathan like nothing had happened. It was disorienting, like watching a play where the villain wore your brother's face. Nathan wanted to believe it was paranoia, stress, exhaustion, but deep down, something had cracked. He started checking more, quietly. Passwords, logs, transaction records. He even pulled camera footage from the loading docks. At first, everything seemed clean, almost too clean. Then he noticed the side accounts. Hidden in plain sight, client payments funneled through a vendor shell company with a name barely altered. Marcon Transit Limited, a play on Marcus Connor's full name. It was subtle, smart, and criminal. Nathan's stomach turned. His hands trembled as he printed the transaction history. Over $180,000 routed through that account in 6 weeks. It was theft, it was betrayal, and it was family. That night, Nathan didn't sleep. He sat in the dark, the paper in his lap, replaying every moment from the past few months. The laughs, the praise, the shared memories, the handshakes, the trust. All of it. A mask. The cracks weren't cracks anymore. They were fractures. And everything was starting to collapse.
Chapter 3. The Knife Behind the Smile. Nathan didn't storm into Marcus's office. He didn't shout or throw the folder on the desk. That would have been too easy, too cathartic. Instead, he waited. He watched. 3 more days passed. In those 72 hours, Nathan became a stranger in his own company. Every laugh Marcus shared with the staff felt like a lie. Every handshake he offered was a knife Nathan could now see gleaming beneath the surface. On the 4th morning, Marcus walked in late. Not hours late, just enough to remind the room that he answered to no one. Designer sneakers, tailored blazer, a phone call still in progress, ending with, Yeah, tell them it's already handled. We'll triple it by next quarter. He didn't even glance at Nathan's office. Nathan had made up his mind. If he waited any longer, he would start rationalizing it. He knew himself, how forgiveness came too easily when the pain was too personal. So that afternoon, he asked Marcus to join him in the conference room. Just the two of them. Marcus entered casually, tossing his phone on the table. "What's up, boss man? You finally gonna give me that bonus?" Nathan didn't answer. He slid the folder across the table. Slowly, quietly. Marcus's smile froze. His eyes flicked to the label on the front. Unauthorized Transactions, Marcon Transit Ltd. The silence between them felt like a third presence, thick, pulsing, alive with everything unspoken. "You're gonna tell me what this is?" Nathan asked, his voice low, steady, the kind of calm that only comes from being hollowed out. Marcus didn't touch the folder. "You've been spying on me?" Nathan stared. "That's your defense?" Marcus chuckled, not because it was funny, but because deflection had always been his armor. "Come on, man. You don't understand how business works at this level. You've been too clean for too long. Sometimes you gotta grease the wheels." "Greasing the wheels is bribery. This is theft." Marcus's face darkened. "You're really doing this?" Nathan stood. "I trusted you. I gave you everything. You weren't just my cousin, you were my brother. And you were my way out. I've been drowning for years. Everyone turned their backs, everyone except you. And I thought, maybe if I built something out of this mess, you'd understand. Maybe we'd both win." "You didn't build anything," Nathan said, his voice cracking. "You hollowed out everything I spent 10 years creating, and you used my name to do it." For a moment, Marcus looked like he might say something sincere, apologize, break. But then the walls came back up. "You want it back? Fine, shut it down, call the cops, ruin both of us." Nathan's fists clenched. "You think this ruins me?" Marcus leaned forward. "You think anyone's gonna believe you didn't know? Your name's on half those approvals. Your signature. Your login. You didn't just trust me, you handed me the keys. You're in this whether you like it or not." And there it was, the final betrayal. Not just theft, not just manipulation, but entrapment. Marcus hadn't planned to escape alone. He planned to drag Nathan down with him. The meeting ended without violence, without shouting, without tears. Nathan walked out first. Every step felt heavier than the last. He didn't call the police, not yet. Instead, he went to his office, locked the door, and sat in the dark. His phone buzzed, his wife again, but he didn't answer. He couldn't. He was too busy mourning something no one else could see. Not the money, not the company, but the boy he used to ride bikes with. The boy who once took a beating for him in a schoolyard. The boy who somewhere along the way had died and been replaced by a man Nathan no longer recognized. A man with his last name and his blood, but no soul left to call his own.
Chapter 4. Ashes and Silence. It didn't happen all at once. That's what surprised Nathan the most. Not the betrayal itself, but the slow, methodical collapse that followed, like watching your house burn down in silence, from the inside out, with no alarms going off and no one running to help. The first blow came 2 days after the confrontation. Nathan's bank called about suspicious inconsistencies in the business accounts, frozen funds, audits triggered. He tried to explain, tried to clarify, but they only spoke in cold, rehearsed phrases like pending investigation, full cooperation with authorities, standard protocol. Marcus had moved quickly. By the end of the week, 3 key clients had terminated their contracts, citing recent leadership concerns. One of them had been with Nathan since the first year, when his office was a garage and his conference room was a folding table at a coffee shop.
Nathan didn't call them to explain. What was he gonna say? My cousin stabbed me in the back, but I kept letting him hold the knife? His wife finally cornered him at midnight after another silent dinner. "You haven't looked at me in days," she said, her voice brittle with restrained panic. "You're shutting me out. Tell me what's going on." Nathan sat on the edge of their bed and handed her the folder. She read it slowly, carefully. When she finished, she didn't say anything at first. She just looked at him, really looked, and asked the one question he hadn't been ready for. Why didn't you stop him sooner? Nathan wanted to scream, cry, apologize, but instead he whispered, "Because I needed to believe he'd change." That answer sat between them like a bruise that would never heal. By the end of the month, Nathan was no longer CEO. His partner, the one who'd warned him, called an emergency board meeting. The vote wasn't personal, it was survival. The damage had spread too far. Investors were pulling out, employees were leaking rumors. There were whispers of liability, complicity, federal charges. Nathan signed the papers. He handed over his keys. He packed his office in a cardboard box and carried it to his car in the rain. No one stopped him. No one said goodbye. The people who once toasted his birthdays, who owed their salaries to his vision, barely made eye contact. Shame has a smell. Sour, metallic, inescapable. It clings to you. Nathan wore it like a second skin. Marcus, of course, was gone. No calls, no emails, no address. His apartment had been cleared out. The company card he'd used had been wiped. Even his social media had gone dark. It was like he'd never existed. Or worse, like he'd shed his old life the way snakes shed skin, leaving the rot behind for someone else to clean up. Nathan spent the next 2 weeks on the couch. Not because he couldn't sleep in his bed, but because he didn't feel like he belonged there anymore. His wife moved quietly around him, unsure whether to reach for him or leave him to drown. He didn't cry, not once. Instead, he stared at the ceiling fan, counting the blades as they spun, trying to understand how 1,000 good intentions could lead to one catastrophic truth. Love doesn't protect you from betrayal. It only makes the knife go deeper. The news broke a few days later. Marcus had been spotted in Miami, driving a new car, wining and dining a new circle, launching a consultancy firm. He was tan, smiling, thriving. Nathan watched the video on a stranger's Instagram feed. The caption read, "Come up season. Never doubt a hustler." Nathan closed his phone. He didn't scream. He didn't break anything. He just sat there, in the silence, in the ashes, and let it burn.
Chapter 5. The Return and the Reckoning. 6 months later, Nathan heard his name again. Not in court, not in a boardroom, in a restaurant. He was sitting alone near the window of a quiet Italian place, one of the few still willing to treat him like a person instead of a cautionary tale. He had just finished a modest plate of pasta when a voice behind him said, too casually, "Didn't expect to see you here. You look different." Nathan turned. Marcus stood there, cleaner, richer, bolder. A watch that probably cost more than Nathan's old car sparkled on his wrist. His smile was relaxed, but his eyes were scanning, always scanning, like a man who didn't know how to be still. Nathan said nothing. He simply looked at him, measuring the space between them. The distance of 6 months, 6 betrayals, 6 lifetimes. Marcus slid into the seat across from him without asking. "I figured you'd hate me, but I was hoping you'd understand, eventually." Nathan didn't move. Understand what? It was never personal. Nathan almost laughed. Not personal? His voice was dry, hollow. You destroyed everything. You used me, stole from me, dragged my name through the mud. You left me to take the fall. And you have the nerve to say it wasn't personal? Marcus shrugged. "I did what I had to do. You think I liked it? I survived, Nate. That's all I've ever done.
I just got better at it." Nathan stared at him, amazed at how easy the lies still came, as if decency had been erased from his vocabulary. "You could have asked for help, real help. I would have given it. I didn't need a handout. I needed to win, for once. To stop being the guy everyone pitied, the screw-up. I was sick of being the charity case." "So you made me your sacrifice?" He looked down. For the first time, his voice softened. "You were the only one who ever believed in me. That's why it worked. And I'm sorry. I am." Nathan sat in silence. Something about those words, "I'm sorry," hit him harder than he expected. Not because he believed them, but because they were so empty. He looked at Marcus, really looked at him. The designer clothes, the carefully curated humility, the desperate hunger in his eyes, still searching for approval, still chasing shadows. "I lost everything," Nathan said slowly. "My company, my reputation, my peace. You left me with silence." Marcus nodded. "But you survived, right?" Nathan stood up. He'd reached into his coat and placed something on the table. A flash drive. Marcus's expression froze. "What's that?" "Every transaction, every redirect, every shell company, and a statement, signed by me, admitting I was negligent but not complicit. You were good, Marcus, but not good enough to cover every trail." Marcus's smile vanished. "You're bluffing." "I'm not." Nathan leaned down, voice low. "I haven't decided yet." Marcus blinked. "Decided what?" "Whether I forgive you or destroy you." The air between them sharpened. Nathan straightened his coat. "I spent 6 months in the dark, thinking I wanted revenge, dreaming about it. But what I really want is clarity. I want you to look me in the eye and know, you don't own this story anymore. I do." He walked away without waiting for an answer. Outside, the night was cold. He inhaled deeply, feeling something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not peace, not victory. Authority. He hadn't chosen vengeance, but he hadn't offered salvation either. He had chosen the space between, the line Marcus never learned to walk. That night, Nathan sat on his porch, watching the stars, holding the flash drive in his palm. He could destroy Marcus with a single email, or he could let him live with what he'd become, a man who ran from mirrors. As dawn broke, Nathan made his choice, and for the first time in months, he finally slept. Sometimes the worst betrayals come not from enemies, but from the people we gave everything to. Trust is a fragile currency, and when it's broken, the debt doesn't always have to be paid in blood. Sometimes walking away without vengeance is the loudest form of justice.
There are betrayals that tear through your life like fire, quick, merciless, loud. And then there are the quiet ones. The kind that walk into your house with your name in their mouth, sit at your dinner table, share your childhood memories, and still set your world on fire, only slower, more deliberately, with a smile on their face and a knife behind their back. What Marcus did to Nathan wasn't just theft. It wasn't just manipulation. It was the slow, methodical erasure of something sacred. Trust, built over years, burned in seconds. Nathan didn't just lose money. He didn't just lose a business. He lost the version of himself that believed loyalty was always enough, that believed blood meant protection, that believed some people, no matter how broken, could be saved if you just love them hard enough. But some people don't want to be saved. Some people want to survive, even if it means dragging down everyone who once held out a hand.
Marcus's story isn't just about betrayal. It's about silence. The silence of watching everything fall apart and not knowing who you are without the weight you carried for someone else. The silence of grief, not for a death, but for a relationship that died long before you were ready to bury it. The silence of realizing that forgiveness is not always a bridge. Sometimes it's just a gate you close so you can finally sleep. So, to everyone watching, if you've ever trusted someone who shattered you, if you've ever handed someone your loyalty and watched them sell it for their own escape, if you've ever lost something you built with love, not to an enemy, but to someone you called family, you are not alone. Your pain is real, your story matters, and your healing does not depend on whether they ever apologize. Sometimes walking away without burning everything down is the bravest thing you'll ever do. Sometimes survival is the revenge. And sometimes justice doesn't come from courts or confrontations, but from standing back up, scarred but still breathing, and saying, "You don't get to define who I become next." Let this story sit with you. Let it haunt a little. Let it make you question who you've trusted and who might be quietly taking more than you realized. And when you're ready, share your story with us. Use the comments below. Tell us who betrayed you and what you did next. Did you forgive? Did you fight back? Did you disappear and rebuild? We want to hear it. Because this space isn't just about stories. It's about reckoning. It's about release. And it's about reclaiming the voice betrayal tried to take from you. If this story resonated with you, if it made you remember, reflect, or even just feel less alone, like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Not just for more stories, but to be part of a community where pain becomes power and truth has a place to breathe. Because in a world full of lies, silence, and masks, this is where we speak the unspeakable. And maybe, just maybe, begin again.